This is Matthew Kratter's Bitcoin University. Today I want to talk about some Bitcoin hardware wallet questions and answer some of your questions. And this video is a follow-up to yesterday's video about Bitcoin getting stolen from hot wallets. If you haven't watched that, you really should. This comment from Lazy Lone Wolf: holy crap, hackers are evil but can be brilliant. Using hard drive noises, turning RAMs into Wi-Fi. Thanks for making me a tad more paranoid now. And my response: only the paranoid survive. Comment from Tim Kenny 15. Matthew, Ledger is a no-go. Dang, learned something new on cold storage today. Thank you. My response: unfortunately, the company has a really bad history. These are the Ledger hardware wallets. Company has a really bad history when it comes to privacy and how they treat their customers. And I'll put a link to this in the description notes below that talks about the various problems with Trezor, the company, and the hardware wallets over the years. Next, a comment from Eugene San. Bitcoin University: I was always confused by yours and other popular YouTubers' recommendation of Jade wallets. These are the Jade hardware wallets that we talked about yesterday. Especially ironic when you recommended in a video talking about the importance of quote-unquote real cold hardware wallets. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Jade either stores your seed online or on the device without a secure element. Therefore, Jade should be considered a hot wallet. At least Ledger supposedly gives you an option to opt out of their online seed storage, which is a terrible idea. Do not use their online seed storage or store it on devices inside the secure element. Don't get me wrong, I'm not endorsing Ledger, but your constant recommendation of Jade makes me question your recommendations. My response: Jade, the Jade hardware wallet, this is the Blockstream Jade, does not allow your seed to touch the internet. This is your seed is your 12 or 24 word backup of your Bitcoin, and the Jade does not allow your seed to touch the internet, nor does it store it online. It remains inside of the Jade. Jade is definitely a cold wallet. It's a cold form of cold storage or a hardware wallet. It does not have a secure element, but instead uses a remote blind Oracle server to lock and unlock the device and encrypt the seed locally. This is in place of a secure element. It's just its different security model. And Jade is so much better than the Ledger, which has had one privacy breach after another. I'll put a link to this if you want to learn more about how Jade does security. It's quite interesting, and it's a little bit different from Coldcard. Question from Ray Fumu: does the Coldcard have a secure element? Yes, in fact, it has two secure elements. These are chips where your seed is stored, and Coldcard does some very interesting things with the secure elements. And both the MK4 and the Coldcard Q each have two secure elements. I'll put a link to this article about that in the description notes below. Henry Levin 3387: I have a Trezor which has to be connected to a computer to use. Is that still considered cold storage? Yes, it is the short answer. Air-gapped, as we talked about yesterday, using a micro SD card, passing it back and forth between your cold card and a micro SD card reader connected to your laptop or desktop. That sort of air-gap solution is ideal. But using a connected Trezor is still considered cold storage since your seed never leaves the Trezor. Rather, transactions are passed into the Trezor to be signed and then passed back to your computer through the USB to be broadcast by Trezor Suite or whatever other software you're using. You can actually pair your Trezor with a Sparrow wallet, which would give you a little more diversity when it comes to different vendors. Otherwise, you're using a Sparrow wallet with using a Trezor hardware wallet with Trezor Suite, and you're using their node as well. So it's important to learn how to use it in conjunction with Sparrow. If you're finding this video interesting so far, just pause really briefly here to ask you to help to support this channel's educational mission. Hit the subscribe button. That does really help. Leave a like, leave a comment, question, suggestion for a future video, and share this video with a friend or family member. Patricia Edsel asks, is Sparrow, I think she means a hot wallet, is Sparrow a hot wallet? And my response is Sparrow wallet can be used as a hot wallet or as the interfacing software for a cold wallet, like the Coldcard for a hardware wallet. And this is very important to note, especially in light of what's been happening the last few days and actually over the last couple of years. Sparrow is available only for desktop or laptop. If you see a mobile version of this, that app is a scam. And unfortunately, someone ended up losing their Bitcoin. They had downloaded this Sparrow multisig app from the Apple App Store, from the iOS App Store, and it stole all of their Bitcoin. So it's very important to know where you're downloading your software from. You should definitely only download Sparrow from sparrowwallet.com. I'll put a link to this in the description notes below. And one way you can make sure that you're not downloading malware and that it has the proper signature and the proper hash is to verify the release. which is on the same page. And I do discuss it in my paid course as well if you need a little bit more hand holding. When we're talking about scamming, like the scammy Sparrow multisig wallet, that fake app, I thought I'd mention that people have been receiving these Trezor emails as well. These are not obviously from the Trezor company. These are from scammers who want you to download malware or click and give up your seed information. But you may have received one of these. It looks like the Sparrow email list or customer list was hacked. I didn't have a chance to look that up, but I've been receiving these. I used to recommend Sparrow on this channel, and I used to use and buy Sparrow. I don't use them anymore because they offer support for other coins, but still, obviously still a decent wallet and much better than Ledger. But if you've received one of these emails, critical vulnerability notice, where they want you to connect and update the firmware, or this one is a similar one talking about you need a quantum computing firmware update for your Trezor. These are both scam emails. Make sure you do not click on anything in there. And if you were to update your firmware, you'd want to go to the website directly rather than clicking on a link in an email. That's generally best practice. When you receive an email from a company and you're not sure if it's actually from the company, don't click on any of the links. Instead, type in the URL of that company in a separate browser tab. David Silberstein 42 asks, if I downloaded the iCoin app, did that make my wallet hot now? My response, I'm not familiar with iCoin Wallet, but it looks like your private keys, if you use the iCoin Wallet, are stored on the external hardware device and not on the app, which would be on your phone. That being said, the app is closed source, so no one knows for sure, so you better hope that the company is trustworthy. I wouldn't sleep at night with my Bitcoin on a crypto wallet like this, and it looks like iCoin Wallet is not open source. There's some confusion about Coldcard, whether Coldcard is open source, and it's technically not FOSS or free and open source software. It doesn't have the most broad, I guess it is free and open source software, but it doesn't have the most broad license in the sense that you're not allowed to take Coldcard firmware or other code and use it commercially, but it is visible, it can be inspected, etc. And so that is not something to worry about. If someone says Coldcard is closed source, while that's technically true, all it means is you can't fork their code and use it commercially, but you can still verify to make sure, you can still view all the code and verify to make sure there's not malware or bad things running in that code, unlike iCoin Wallet here, which is not open source. Naveen Nim 2002. Hi Matthew, for a hardware wallet user, would it be safe to use a watch-only wallet on Blue Wallet on phone? This is on mobile to view wallet holdings. Yes, from a security, my answer, yes, from a security perspective, since your private keys will not be present in a watch-only wallet, you just import the XPub, and that allows the wallet to generate all the Bitcoin addresses that are associated with that XPub, and so you can view your holdings. But doing this may leak privacy to Apple or Verizon or spyware, may be able to view every Bitcoin purchase, every Bitcoin address that you interact with, especially if they can see your XPub via the watch-only wallet. Justin Aqualong 743 writes in, my Monarch wallet got suspended. I can't get my Bitcoin out. Any suggestion? My response, did it give you a 12 or 24 word seed? If so, you can import that seed into another wallet, for example, like the Sparrow wallet or another hardware wallet, and use that to move the Bitcoin. If you go to monarchwallet.com, this is what they suggest, that all you need to do is get your seed and enter it. They want you to move to Coinbase DeFi wallet, which is a terrible idea, but it looks like Monarch was already I believe a hot wallet. So entering your seed into the Sparrow wallet would be one way of recovering that. You could do a hot wallet recovery there. And since it's already a hot wallet, it's not the worst thing to have to enter it into your laptop via the keyboard. There is the risk of keylogger, so that's something to take into account. In that case, maybe you should consider using a hardware wallet and recovering that way. Take your Monarch wallet 12 or 24 word seed, enter it into a Blockstream Jade or a Coldcard if you want to be extra safe. But that's the only way to do a recovery as far as I can tell. Byron 9630 writes, what about the hot wallet with two-factor authentication, 2FA? My response, not safe enough. 2FA can be subverted, especially if you're using your phone and not something physical like a YubiKey, for example. Someone can have your phone ported and then use that to reset all your passwords. So this is the problem with 2FA. The other problem is that private keys can be leaked at that brief moment in time when a transaction is being signed by a hot wallet. And so this is why hot wallets are simply not safe for large amounts of Bitcoin, say for Bitcoin amounts larger than $100 or $200 or so for the average American. William Clark 247M writes in, good advice as usual, but most people, especially boomers and some 50 and older, are not going to use a device like the Coldcard or Ledger. They're just not. I think they're just not. I think retail is in for a big surprise on storage solutions. And while that's true, I do want to acknowledge here that there are many boomers who watch this channel, and there are many people in their 70s and 80s on this channel even that do still use Coldcard and other hardware wallets. This may be true for some part of this generation. In that case, BitKey may be a good solution for some of these folks. BitKey.world. This is just another alternate solution. It relies on a form of multi-sig. And if you use this, you really are trusting the company that makes it. You're really trusting Block. But this is a very simple solution. And the BitKey is very nice. I have a video, which I'll link to in the description notes below, or you can just do a quick search on my channel under BitKey. I do review this a few months back. Sam Lipsit 517 asks, is running your own node safe? My response, yes. In fact, it's more than safe. It's the best way to do things. It's the only way to interact with the Bitcoin network without having to trust someone else's node. And so the typical setup is you use Sparrow Wallet. You use it as the interfacing software that talks both to your node, your Bitcoin Knots node, and then on the other end talks to your hardware wallet or a software wallet or hot wallet inside of Sparrow. And if you want to learn more about how to run Knots, how to run your own Bitcoin node, I'll put a link to this in the description notes below about running Bitcoin Knots and why you should as well. I appreciate all the people on this channel who have switched over to send a message to Core, and we're now at 16% of all the nodes on the network are Bitcoin Knots nodes, up from about 2% not too long ago. So this is unbelievable, watching people move over and dump Core for Bitcoin Knots. We can see the chart of Bitcoin Knots nodes going completely vertical. So definitely, if you haven't done that, I have a bunch of videos. And a good way to start really is to watch this Running Bitcoin Knots video so you can get up to speed. This is another adventure, and really every serious Bitcoiner should be running their own Bitcoin node. Otherwise, you end up having to trust Ledger's node or Trezor's node or some other corporate node, and you don't want to have to do that. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the subscribe and like buttons. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I publish my next video. And let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.